Understanding the system, meaning he wouldn't understand the system?
Well, you know, Tim, it's interesting because, you know, in 2006, you ran on the promise that you would not support earmarks. Yet when you got into Congress, in fact, that's what you did.
You're mistaking that again.
What's different about your promise today? What's different about your promise today, Tim?
You're not reporting it accurately. I said I would never be blackmailed into voting for an earmark in order to get one of my projects.
I don't know what being blackmailed means. Would you explain what blackmailed means in this context?
It says we will not support your earmark, such as the runway widening project.
Or the lobsters in Maine.
Where was that at?
In Maine.
No, where was it in the bill? What bill?
It was in an omnibus bill that was part of that earmark distribution.
Well, I look forward to you bringing that out.
I will.
But the issue is, as I held up, and I think Sitpat pointed out, that on the runway extension widening project in Battle Creek, in the transportation budget with 6,000 earmarks, the bridge to nowhere, and all of the rest, plus that project that I had requested after the request of our local district, it stayed all the way through, and Walberg didn't vote for that transportation budget.
That's right.
We were able to get the project, but we weren't blackmailed into voting for pork.
Tim, what I hear you say is you a very convoluted way has justified $35 million worth of earmarks when you were in Congress, and I think that's unconscionable.
Mr. Rooney, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm against pork barrel spending earmarks where you have the bridges to nowhere, where you hide things in appropriation bills. If you have something that's fully vetted, that the eyes of the world see, and is voted up or down, that's fine by me. And I'll tell you another thing. As the only veteran on the stage can attest to, if it wasn't for earmarks, because our congressmen and women, for the life of me, I don't understand why, because maybe they're afraid to take responsibility for war, refuse to declare war any longer. So instead of declaring war on Iraq or Afghanistan, we have resolutions saying, okay, you can do it, Mr. President. And by doing that, we don't have the procurement system that the Pentagon needs to go forward on a war footing. Rather, they do business as usual. And because of that, I was riding into Fallujah basically in the back of a pickup truck, a Humvee that was not up-armored, that was open air. Because of earmarks, we got hardened Humvees. The MRAP eventually came around. The body armor that we had, all are earmarks. So when you're talking about oaths that you take to be a congressman or woman, one of the oaths is to raise and put procurement towards the military.
And part of the system is just dealing with the pork barrel projects, is you just have to live with those to get the good ones?
No, you have to work within the process to try to do a unilateral surrender of Democrats and Republicans and work towards getting rid of it by law, saying we're just not going to do it any longer. And we're going to get back to what our constitutional understanding of declaring war is and what we have to do as far as appropriations and what's appropriate and not appropriate, instead of having congressmen or women saying, hey, look what I did for the district, isn't that great? No, it's not great, because we should be doing it, you know, for everybody throughout this country. No part of this country should be more favored than other or more equal than others.
Let's get to a couple more.
I think, just quickly, to that point, you brought up a good point, Brian. I'm glad that I offered earmarks for MRAP vehicles, V-bottom hulls, armor. I'm glad I offered earmark for Peckham Industries that supplied cold weather gear for you and your comrades over there. I'm glad I supported the surge and those type of things, and those are appropriate. But we have to be very cautious, and I think that's why many of us have supported a moratorium on earmarks now, because we've got to get to the bottom of this, and that starts with bringing some sense of security back to our taxpayers, that this unseemly, ugly approach that's taken place by a lot of members of Congress is ended, and we come around to a system that is open